Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about my very ambitious reading plans for March. We'll start with the books that I have already started and am planning to finish very soon. Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I'm about 400 pages into this book and I am really enjoying it. It is about our main character Laszlo Strange, who is a librarian who discovers that there is some mystery about a city named Weep. Everyone has forgotten about this city and no one can even recall the name. He goes on an adventure to discover the secrets of Weep. He wants to know what happened and he wants to discover what he can. It follows our other main character named Sarai, who has magical powers. She is able to go into people's dreams and manipulate the dreams. Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I am about 70 pages into this book. It follows our main character when he discovers a library book in his local library that recounts a time in his past that, like, to a T, very perfectly. I started reading this book in February and I honestly put it down because I wasn't giving it the attention that I feel that it needs. This is a very flowery and poetic book and it's very intense, very atmospheric, and so it requires a certain level of investment, and at the time I wasn't prepared for the investment. So with the atmospheric writing and the fantastical elements from Strange the Dreamer, I'm hoping that Strange the Dreamer will put me in the fantastical mood and get me interested in the Starless Sea. Next is The Cruel Prince. This is about a human that gets kidnapped when she is younger and taken to the fairy realm. She must basically fight to fit in, and she has an arch enemy, Prince of the Kingdom. Circe by Madeline Miller. It's a story about Circe. She discovers that she has powers, and when Zeus discovers that she has these powers, he feels very threatened, and as Zeus does, because he's a douche, he exiles her to this island. And on this island, she kind of explores her abilities, strengthens herself, and she uses the animals and such that are on this island to kind of fight back. Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is a Lord of the Flies-esque book about a school of girls that get stranded on an island and a disease basically mutates them. Our main character, I'm not sure what mutation exactly our main character has, but eventually the girls on the island start going missing and our main character tries to find out what happened. The Diviners by Libba Bray. This follows our main character in the 1920s. When she's exiled from her hometown, she moves to New York City where a cult-like murders happen, and she sort of gets thrust into the investigation via her, I believe she gets involved by her uncle. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. This is a murder mystery about two sisters who lost their other sister at a very young age, and a decade later when another middle-aged man goes missing, there appears to be a connection between the two. So these sisters come together and investigate the murders to figure out what's going on. Everything that I've heard is that this book is very, very dark and it has basically trigger warnings for everything. I'm interested to see how I feel about this. I've heard very mixed reviews about this, so I'm interested to see. I'm excited to get to this one. Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. This is considered a classic book, and I have my reservations. I actually have a lot of classics, and the ones that I have, decided to read, I've enjoyed, but I also feel like there's like this stigma, just my own personal stigma around classics, that they're dry and they're boring. But this book has really kind of it's gotten a lot of hype recently, and it's allegedly not as dense and thick and, as bad as some classics can be. So I'm planning on reading this. And I believe it follows four sisters falling in love and finding their place and all of that. The next books that I plan on reading are actually mangas. So in the month of February, I read The Promised Neverland volumes 1, 2, and 3. So this month I plan on continuing. At the moment, my library only has The Promised Neverland 4 and 5, so I plan on reading those. Children who were raised in an orphanage, and pretty early on they discover that they are basically raised as essentially cattle to be fed to these things, and it's pretty dark. And I'm really intrigued, so hopefully I can find a way to read the rest of the volumes without having to buy them. Next is, I want to read My Hero Academia. I have volume 1, and this is about a world full of people that have these things called quirks, and they're basically magical powers. And if you have a quirk, you can go to this special school that will teach you how to, hone your power and use your power. And our main character doesn't have a quirk, but he somehow gets into this university, and it just chronicles all of that. And then the other ebook that I currently have that I plan on reading is Wondersmith. This is the second book in the Nevermore trilogy by Jessica Townsend. I read the first book in February, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a middle grade book about a girl who believes that she is cursed and that she is destined to die on her 12th birthday. She gets saved by a guy named Jupiter North, who takes her to this magical realm, and the whole first book is her going through the ceremony to be inducted into this society of magical people. And the second book, I can't really give you a description because it's the second book in a series and it would be a spoiler, but I plan on reading that. The third book in the series doesn't come out until, I believe, August, so unfortunately I'll have to wait for that, but I'm hoping that Wondersmith is as good as the first one, because the first one was just so good. I think I read it in like a day and a half, and it's like 400 something pages. I loved it. And then the last 3 books that I am about to mention, I actually have on hold from my library. The first is a graphic novel called Nemoa. It is a sci-fi fantasy series about a shapeshifter sidekick of a supervillain. So I guess it chronicles her life and all of their, shenanigans. Sorcery of Thorns, which is about a librarian in a library that has magical books that are locked away. And when they get unlocked, a crime happens and she gets implicated. So to free herself of this crime or prove that she's innocent, she has to team up with her arch nemesis. I believe this is a standalone book, but I've heard really good things. This is also another book that I have heard so-so about, because I believe it is a shorter book. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I think I'm thinking of Enchantment of Ravens. Anyways, that is Sorcery of Thorns. And then lastly is House of Salt and Sorrows. This book is actually going to become available, it says within 4 weeks. So this might be towards the end of March into next month. We'll see. But it's basically a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling where our main character lives in this house with her stepmother and her father and her 12 sisters. Eventually her sisters start going missing and they can't figure out what's going on, so she decides to figure it out for herself. So those are all of the books that I currently have planned to read for March, and it might be a little ambitious. It might not be. Who knows? We'll see what happens. But I will definitely be keeping you guys updated with my reading vlogs. If you stayed all the way to the end, thank you very much. If you like this video, please subscribe so that you see every single time that I post, and I really appreciate it. Make sure you like and comment anything you want down below, and I will see you guys in my next video.